How will Sean Payton look to use one of his most versatile weapons on offense? Can Marvin Mims continue to take the next step as a receiver going into another year with Bo Nix? And is Riley Moss equipped to handle the pressure of playing opposite of the Defensive Player of the Year? All things to come on today's rundown, but we will begin with some news and notes from today's practice as we are live here at Broncos Park, powered by Common Spirit, where we did not get a fourth consecutive day of fully padded practices. Sean Payton electing to go with the half shell approach, shoulder pads and shorts, ramps the intensity down just a little bit with the anticipation that perhaps as early as tomorrow or definitely Saturday, we could easily see another high-tempo padded practice. But while we didn't get full pads, we did get referees on the field today. So what we lacked perhaps in some thudding and some intensity, we gained here for the Denver Broncos in a more realistic game-like feel with officials monitoring the various team periods. We also got a little bit of a scary moment with new Broncos inside linebacker Drake Greenlaw, who pulled up during a coverage play and appeared to be favoring something in his lower body. He was able to walk off and walk around a little bit with a trainer before eventually jogging off and heading back to the locker room. We are eagerly awaiting an update from Sean Payton and company about Drake Greenlaw's potential health status being slightly up in the air and what that could mean for an inside linebacker room that is already, in a span of 5 or 6 days, being decimated from an injury standpoint. We saw Drew Sanders go down over this past weekend with a ligament issue, not a tendon issue, as was initially reported, in his foot that could keep him out upwards of 6 to 8 weeks. Alex Singleton, coming off of an ACL injury that caused him to miss almost the entirety of last season, now breaks his thumb and is going to be out for about a week to potentially 10 days before he can club it up and get back out there on the field. So you have one starter penciled in for sure dealing with a training camp injury, a key backup now for the Broncos dealing with a more significant time injury, and then Drake Greenlaw, who pulls up during a drill today and heads back to the locker room. We will wish and hope all the best for somebody who could have a significant impact on this Broncos defense in 2025. Looking ahead to 2025, when it comes to the playmakers around Bo Nix, who is entering his sophomore season, specifically in the pass catcher department, Marvin Mims figures to be one of the more versatile pieces that will be at Sean Payton and Bo Nix's disposal on offense this season. We saw last season things start out maybe a little bit slow for him, and then in the latter half of the season, Sean Payton elects to maybe treat him in that pseudo-joker type role and move him around more aggressively on the field to try to scheme open opportunities for him. And Marvin Mims certainly took advantage of those opportunities. And that is the next step in progression for a guy like Marvin Mims, who has already established himself on the NFL world as a quality return man who at a Pro Bowl and all-pro level is able to return punts and kicks for the Broncos. And the next step in that progression is being able to match that level of quality play and dominance on the field at the wide receiver position that he plays most prominently. Well, one of the factors at play that's going to impact Marvin Mims in that department is the arrival of Evan Ingram to be Sean Payton's true quote-unquote joker at the tight end position. And tight end is almost in a air quotes type of situation because it is clear when you watch Evan Ingram, one, looking at his body type, two, looking at the way he practices and the way he operates on the field, he is a bona fide wide receiver threat masked as a tight end here for the Broncos. But that is going to be something that factors into Marvin Mims' role going into 2025. And I think it's a great situation for Marvin Mims to be in because Evan Ingram coming in to be the joker and to be the chess piece that Sean Payton can move on the table and around the field allows Marvin Mims to be able to be schemed up more specifically for things that are advantageous to his skill set, not just as a cog in Sean Payton's offense. So you'll have Cortland Sutton, who's now fresh off of a contract extension, back on the field as the wide receiver one, that true X receiver. You have a continued emergence of Devon Bailey and Troy Franklin And now Evan Ingram in the fold allows Marvin Mims to play a more wide receiver type role inside, maybe outside, in bunch formations, etc., and allow him to use his blazing speed and the skill set that he employs to be able to maximize his production in 2025, where he's entering his third season in the NFL. So all in all, Marvin Mims could see a little bit bigger role, but one thing we know for sure he is not that excited about is the potential of lining up in the backfield. He spoke about that yesterday, and you have to kind of read through the nuance and the tone of this discussion to really understand how he was feeling. When asked about the idea of lining up in the backfield and taking handoffs, Marvin Mims said, "It's cool. It's different. I enjoy it. I do expect to see a little bit of it this year. Getting hit is cool, but by a linebacker and stuff, it's not the best sometimes. But I'll do it." So that's essentially where Marvin Mims is at when it comes to running the football and being used in the backfield as an option in Sean Payton's offense is, will I do it? Yes. Do I love it? No. And that right there, coupled with the fact that Evan Ingram and his arrival here in Denver, the way that Sean Payton's going to be able to use him as the joker and move him around the field in various different ways, the way we saw Sean do with Marvin last season on the backstretch of last year, that is going to free Marvin Mims up to be able to be more used in an explosive way as a wide receiver, to be able to be more true to his traditional role and used in ways that maximizes his ultimate skill set. And that, coupled with Courtland Sutton on the boundary, continued growth and development from Devon Bailey, and somebody in Troy Franklin who, if the early indications so far in training camp come to life, is going to have a significantly more prominent role and presence in the offense than he did in his rookie season, where it always just felt like he was half a step or so off with Bo Nix. So that and the more presence of a run game and balance in the offense there all spell positive things for a guy like Marvin Mims. Someone else who's facing a little bit of pressure and spoke yesterday is Broncos cornerback Riley Moss, who obviously is cast in a pretty large shadow playing opposite of the Defensive Player of the Year in Patrick Surtain, and he actually spoke about that and the pressure that he feels to perform, saying, as long as I'm across from DPOY, it's going to be like that. I love the challenge. It makes it fun to come to work and know, hey, it's on me. That's what makes this game so beautiful, and that's why I love the position that I'm in. And I think that's a really interesting mindset to have to be in as a player, especially at the NFL level. But I think Riley Moss, beyond just having to handle the pressure of playing opposite Patrick Surtain from a performance standpoint, Riley Moss, to me, is a very underrated cog in this Broncos secondary and with the defense as a whole. And his health and performance is heavily tied to the ceiling and the week-to-week performance that this defense can make. Is he the Defensive Player of the Year? No. Does he have to live up to that bar and that level of play week in and week out? No. But we saw last season when Riley Moss dealt with injury and he struggled to rush back to the field against the Cincinnati Bengals. It didn't quite look the same as he did before. We saw how differently this secondary was approached and attacked by opposing offenses, and the way that they weren't as able to limit and neutralize the high-powered offenses, especially that exist in the AFC. So Riley Moss, despite the fact that he's not the Defensive Player of the Year in Patrick Surtain and is going to get targeted more heavily because he plays on that opposite side, beyond the mental aspect of it, his health and performance and his ability to handle that pressure is going to be a key piece alongside Jahdae Barron and Jaquan McMillan and the rest of this Broncos defense to be able to meet and perhaps exceed the high bar that they set in 2024. There is so much going on here at Broncos Park, powered by Common Spirit. We will be here on Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan, online at denversports.com, and here on social media on shows like Denver Sports Daily, The Rundown, and Orange and Blue Today to chronicle everything and bring you the most up-to-date and factual information on all things Broncos ahead of the 2025 season. We will be live at the same time and the same place. We'll catch you tomorrow.
I do what I love what I do. Second nature to put in the work.